YouTube. This is August Sunday, and I'm here to talk about my Humanities 1010 final project. It's called Divine Intervention. This is the painting which you saw. I know you don't have a good picture at this point, but this is the painting that is the project itself. The way that I chose to do this project, and I will be looking down occasionally just to look at my notes. The way that I chose to do this project was one day at the western campus of my school. I was looking for a place outside. It was a very pretty day, so I decided I would study outside. And so I went behind the cafeteria where there are some tables and some seats where we can sit and kind of have a nice place of refuge, and it's very picturesque. There's a water fountain there, and so on and so forth. And I looked on my way there, and there was a sign, but before I saw the sign, I saw some geese. And having grown up in a neighborhood where there was a very nice duck pond, and the Canadian geese would also be there, I remember feeding the geese. We used to give the geese bread, and my mom and my dad and my cousin and myself would go and just feed the geese our old moldy bread and that sort of a thing. And it was very nice, and I really enjoy just natural. You see my cats coming on to enjoy with me, just another proof of my enjoyment of nature. But what happened was I saw these geese and I was wishing to feed them, but when I looked up I saw a sign that said no feeding of waterfowl, and so I was disappointed that I didn't have any bread, and I was even more disappointed that if I had something that it was not permitted. So anyhow, I sat down, I relaxed, and when I looked again, I noticed one of the geese was watching me like a hawk. He was really eyeing me. So when I realized it, I started watching him too, and I started looking at the other geese. Well, all the other geese were eating, and I realized these geese are eating. Nobody came and brought them anything to eat. Nobody made a provision, but it was poetic justice in one sense, and it was divine intervention in another. And I say that because the sign says no feeding of waterfowl, so that to us means don't feed the geese. But to the geese it means you can't eat here. You're not permitted to eat here. No feeding. Feeding is also the act of feeding yourself. And so it was poetic justice to that end, and it was also divine intervention, seeing as they had everything that they needed without the sign, without me, without anyone coming and doing. Their provision was made, and I thought that was beautiful. That's why I chose that. So I snapped some shots of the geese. I snapped some shots from different angles, just a very few.
Your hands reached into the depths of darkness. Your arms pulled me to the light above them. Your voice.
The subject matter was the geese. It was the geese. It was the fact that these hungry geese were there. They needed something to eat, and the sign was there. Their impediment, the sign was there. And I love that. So I thought it was a very poetic painting, if I can say that. The medium was watercolor. I just used some regular paper. I didn't have anything fancy available for use. I didn't have a lot of options, but I did want to paint. I enjoy painting. I haven't done it much in the past recent years, but I do enjoy painting, and I chose watercolor because I had that readily available. Mostly greens and blues, because there's just a lot of natural, it's a very natural element, the whole portrait. There's bushes, there's trees, there's the pond that's there, there's a fountain, even though it's man-made, the geese, the sky, so lots of blues, and a little red hue with the walkway and with the lily that I used to make a reference to a proverb. Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow, they toil not, neither do they spin. So I use that lily in the right corner of my painting for that. And the greens and the blues are just the natural. When you look around outside, even I'm looking around out today, it's just lots of greens and lots of blues and other neutral tones that pick up, and just a little hint of red here and there. So that's what I use. My creative process I'll get into in just a moment, but the value in my painting was the nourishment and provision to the geese. Intrinsic, yes, it was an intrinsic value because I had a personal longing to feed the geese. To not waste the bread that was at home and moldy and would get thrown out, or maybe I would even give it to the birds, throw it out in our backyard, but it was an intrinsic value. Extrinsically, I was not able to make a provision, so it was all internal for me. My creative process was to sketch the painting first. Before I painted, I began to sketch, and I started with the background, just getting the trees and the bushes, and came forward into the pond, and I did the geese very early on as well, but the placements were just, I kind of moved from left to right a bit, and I kind of moved from the background into the more detailed work. When I began to paint, the painting was done with the softer colors, the more intricate areas first, and then the deeper colors, I did those as I moved on, because watercolor for me is very difficult to control. That was a part of the challenge to this painting, to implement the watercolor and not overdo the darker areas and not use too many deep colors initially, because you cannot go back and fix that with the watercolor, and I'm more accustomed to using acrylic than watercolor. Watercolor is not my favorite medium. So the difficulty was in using the watercolor. But I did learn about myself that I'm good at using watercolor if I take my time, and I love to mix colors and to take, more of a cornflower sort of a blue, and I know that's a Crayola color, but hey, that's what I started out with. I always reference those colors first. But to take one of those and mix it with a brighter green, and to make a really bright, beautiful blue-green color, and to take a little black and deepen it, or take a little white and ashen it with that. So I enjoyed that. And so this is my painting, and I hope you can see. And thank you, YouTube. Thank you for watching. And thank you, Professor Tobin.
And because of that, I know that according to Psalms 23, I can speak back to the enemy and say, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want.